Hi there, my name's Iain Moss, I'm the editor of JesusWired. I'm here with the awesome Galactus Jack here at Big Church Day Out. How you doing? How you doing today?
I'm doing great. Yeah, this is a little bit rainy at Big Church Day Out, but everybody's having a good time. It's all good.
It's England. What do you expect? What do you expect?
Festival in England without the rain is not a proper festival, right?
It's awesome. It's awesome.
We haven't got the mud yet. It hasn't been raining enough for the mud, but it might come in time.
Hopefully it won't rain that much more.
We'll see.
So just tell us a little bit about how you became a Christian and how you came to know God, really.
Oh, cool. I grew up in a family where my parents were believers, missionaries actually originally, and then my dad ended up becoming the principal of a Bible college, and my mum was involved in nursing and counselling, bereavement counselling, and so I grew up in a really interesting home of just awesome parents who introduced me to Jesus and helped me to understand what it meant to live for him. But it was probably during my teenage years when things started to tick over in my mind, and I started to kind of think for myself a little bit, what's this all about? And of course, as you're a teenager, lots of things take your attention and lots of things look attractive and appealing to you, and you're trying to figure out who you are. And when I was 17 years old, I'd kind of already made a decision that I wanted to follow Jesus when I was about 10, but it didn't really take significant central focus in my life until probably about 17. A friend of mine at school, she came and she said, hey, do you want to help me run a Christian union for some of the younger kids in the school? And I was kind of like, well, not really. And she was like, there's going to be free donuts there. I was like, okay, yeah, free donuts, I can get on board with that. Yeah, that's a winner for anybody.
Got to love free donuts.
Exactly. So she's like, come along, help me run the CU, have the free donuts. So I did that, and over kind of 6 months of just journeying with these younger students at the school that I was at, it forced me to think about stuff for myself. It forced me to think about who Jesus really is, the significance of him in my life as not just a cultural heritage or family thing of being a Christian, but genuinely a Christ follower, someone who makes Jesus the center of everything that you are, lives for him, dies to your old self and is born again into the new life that Christ has to you. And so it was probably when I was 17 that really took hold, and it's been journeying it ever since.
Awesome. So how did you kind of get started with music itself, and when did you know you wanted to be an artist?
I love music for as long as I can remember. I was making music from when I was a teenager. I started making beats on my computer, and this was back in the day when beat making on a computer was a little bit more primitive. You couldn't have quite the same tools that you've got now, and we've got such amazing stuff that we can do with the computers. Didn't have that much cool stuff back in the day, but I had just enough that I could get stuck into making music on my computer, and that opened my mind up to new possibilities. And then I remember very specifically in the late 90s hearing a record by Daft Punk that changed my life, because I heard it and it opened my mind to different styles of music and different genre and different structures of music. And I thought, you know what, that's kind of what I want to get involved with in terms of making music. And then I went to a party that my friend was hosting, and he was a DJ and he was DJing, and I saw him doing his thing, and I thought, oh wow, not only can I make this kind of music, I can then perform it on the decks. And it just kind of all came together, and so I kind of took up DJing when I was 17. And it's interesting that I kind of started taking my faith seriously at the same time that I took up DJing and started really taking music seriously as well. Those two things converged, and that's been the journey I've been on ever since.
Cool. So, how did you get involved with the Message Academy?
So the Message Trust, an organisation based in Manchester, has been going for 25 years, and evangelistic organisation. We look to take the gospel to vulnerable young people, but also any young person that we can engage with. We do a lot of work in high schools, in prisons, in tough communities and estates around the UK and beyond. We've got bases in Canada and South Africa. It's this beautifully exciting project to be part of, ministry to be part of, because it is all about keeping the main thing, keeping the gospel absolutely central to everything that we do. So every one of my shows contains some kind of gospel proclamation. It might be the gospel proclamation in the sense of drawing people's attention to how good God is, that we can worship him. And so it's a bit more of a worshipful focus. But 9 times out of 10, actually, the shows are very specifically about creating opportunity to preach the gospel and actually call people, invite people to respond to the life that Jesus has for them. And so I got involved in working with the Message just under 3 years ago now, and just a lot of mutual friends. When you work in these kind of circles, everybody knows everybody, and you get to know each other, and an opportunity arose for me to come and formally be part of the Message about 3 years ago, and so I joined up, and my heart and their heart were exactly the same, and so when the opportunity arose, it was like, yeah, I totally want to be involved in this.
Awesome. Now, as we mentioned, we're here at Big Church Day Out today. Yesterday you were kind of doing all the DJing sets, but between sets. And
Yes.
Today you did a little bit of a warm-up gig on the main stage.
Yes.
How did both days go? And
Fun.
And how tired are you?
I'm quite tired. Yesterday was a long day. I think I played 9 DJ sets yesterday.
Wow.
So I DJed for about 6.5 hours. It was a long,
Yikes.
It was a long slog. But it's so much fun, and it's such a privilege to be here and playing music to get people into the atmosphere and the spirit of what's going on. And it's just so cool to be able to hang out here and see people enjoying themselves, and in such a positive environment where the focus is on engaging with our Creator, loving on each other as the church family, and also people coming here who don't yet know Jesus, who have an opportunity to hear the gospel perhaps for the first time and make a decision to make Jesus Lord of their lives. So it was a super fun day, and today's been great so far. If we can get rid of the rain, it will be happy days.
Rain seems to stop that, actually. That doesn't
it does. It's just a bit grey, but we should be okay.
Yeah, we need some sun here, please, God. So how did the sets go down, and can we expect you back as an artist kind of in the future?
I hope so. I think the sets were cool. It's as a DJ, you can kind of do, or at least for me, I can kind of do two things. I can just rock up with the decks and do a little bit of DJing, entertain the crowd with some music, fold some of your own music in there as part of that. Great, good fun. That's what I've been doing here this weekend. But what I really love to do is actually to play my Galactus Jack show, which is all my tunes put together, even some live vocals and stuff like that, and actually perform the Galactus Jack music. And so it'd be great to have an opportunity to come and do that in Big Church Day Out at some point in the future, but there's plenty of opportunities for me to do that around the place. And so if you do see a Galactus Jack show in the diary somewhere, or you see me out and about, and you want to come see what it's all about, then get to one of the shows, and hopefully you'll see the full Galactus Jack experience.
Yeah, absolutely. We highly encourage you all to go and see that. So I suppose we better talk about music. I mean, you are an artist after all, so
they tell me.
Tell us a little bit about what you got out there right now.
Yeah.
And what's coming up, really.
Yeah, my newest release is called Younger Days, and it's an album that I'm releasing in 3 parts. So the first part came out at the start of March, Younger Days Pt.1, cunningly titled. And
I see what you did there.
Yeah, it's very clever. You'd never guess what part 2 is called.
Part B?
Yeah, close. I thought about part B, but no, we went with part 2. So we've got Younger Days Part 2 comes out on July the 14th. And I don't know if I've announced that before, actually. So there you go. That might be an exclusive. July the 14th, when the new record comes out. The next batch of songs, and then the third part will come out in the autumn, and then the full album will drop towards the end of the year with not just the songs from the EPs, but also some new songs. And some of the songs from the EPs will be reworked as album versions that are only available on the album. So it's kind of a fun way to release the music, because if you're working on an album, it can take quite a long time, and then you end up sitting on these songs for ages, and you want to get them out. And I'm quite impulsive and impatient, so I thought, let's not wait to get the album out. Let's just release it in parts.
Hey, we're not complaining.
Right.
We're not complaining at all. So you mentioned to me yesterday there's a new version of Horizon.
Yes.
That is coming out on the album.
That's right. Yeah. I
tell
gave
us about that.
I gave that a little spin today, actually. It's just kind of a trapified. The original version's a nice kind of electro house, future house kind of vibe. This new version of it takes the vocals and takes the melody and encapsulates it in just a really nice, summery, trappy, big house trap tune. And I think I prefer it to I like the original fine. It's cool. I wrote it, so I guess I have to like it. But this new version, I'm kind of even more excited about. So that's gonna drop on the album.
Are there any other kind of songs that you look back on that you've released that you kind of want? I really want to change that style.
Every song I've ever written is
song.
like that. Yeah, I've never released a song where you've not listened to it and thought, I wish I could have tweaked that. I wish I could have. I can't remember who said it, but some famous artist or filmmaker or someone once said, you never finish a film or an album or a project. You just abandon it, because at some point it has to be released into the world. Because you could tinker with it forever, and I would keep tinkering and tinkering and tinkering forever. But at some point you got to go, okay, it's done. The world can have it now, and then you let it go and you move on. Or in my case, you then go, oh, actually no, I am going to retweak it, and you do a new version of it.
Well, I guess the good way of releasing the EPs and then the album with a few new tracks is that you can suddenly put a different version on there if
exactly.
you want to.
And I think the tracks on Younger Days Part 1, at least 2 of those tracks will be very different on the album to what they are on the EP. But that's cool, and I don't mind them. It's not like, oh, I got it wrong the first time and I need to fix it. It's more like, No, I wrote what I wanted to write then, but by the time the album comes out and with the stuff that I've now written, I want it to feel like one whole project. Yeah. That's the one downside to releasing it bit by bit. You don't then get to choose. At the end, normally you maybe would end up with 20, 30 songs and you go, right, these are the 10 that we'll put on the record. But I've already started releasing stuff that I've said is going to be on the record. So it's an interesting situation to be in. And I kind of thought, well, I liked them when I made them, but now I've made some new stuff. They might sound a bit out of place alongside the new things that I've written, so that's cool. We can do some new versions of them and bring... It's all just a big, happy experiment, basically. And at the end of the day, as long as some good songs come out of it and the music draws people's attention to Jesus and opens up opportunities for more shows around the world where the gospel can be proclaimed, that is literally all that matters.
Oh, absolutely. Last few questions even. Going back to Horizon... that song's really helped me this year so far. Can you just tell us about the message behind that song and who's singing on it, really?
Absolutely, yeah. It's a friend of mine called Meg Latham. She's an incredible vocalist. She does a lot of worship singing and songwriting. She's part of a worship group called Room 1 Project, who are great guys from the Midlands. You should check them out. But she sings the vocal on the track, and the lyrics of the song really are just talking about when we find our hope in Jesus, when we find the wholeness of our life in Jesus, we live in a new horizon. Everything changes for us. Our whole way of looking at the world, our whole attitude to the world should shift and change when we find that Christ gives us life and life in all of its fullness. So the song really is just speaking about saying, look, back in the day, or even yesterday, or even 10 minutes ago, this is how life looked for me, and it was difficult, and I was facing challenges, and I was facing struggles, and I didn't know how to overcome those. But now I'm living because I'm living in your freedom, and I'm living with a new horizon. Doesn't mean that everything's perfect now, but it means I live with a new horizon that allows me to see things differently and allows me to journey life ultimately in the power of God's Spirit and mercy and love.
That's cool. So as we wrap this up, how can the readers of JesusWired be praying for you over the coming months?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would love for you guys to be praying for the shows, the upcoming shows. We've got a busy summer, quite a lot of travel. I'm bouncing around different countries over the rest of the year. So please just pray for travel, and that the shows will be an amazing opportunity for anybody who comes to, have a great party, absolutely, but far more importantly, that through the party, their hearts are softened to receive the message of the gospel, and that they come alive in the power of the Spirit. The Christians that come along will feel encouraged and inspired to worship their Creator. The not yet Christians that come along will hear something of the gospel, not really because of what I'm doing on stage, but just because they've come along and God does what only God can do. He brings dead people to life. He brings hope where there was hopelessness. He brings light where there was darkness. So please just pray for that. And I guess pray for the finishing up of the record as well, that it truly is a record that speaks hope to people and in some way connects with people that are into that kind of music, maybe even people that aren't into that kind of music, and they hear that stuff and they hear something deeper, they hear something more resonant, and again that God somehow powerfully works through it.
Amen. So where can people kind of get plugged into you, and where can they pick up your EPs and stuff? Yeah,
I'm most gonna social media, obviously all the different things, Facebook, Twitter, and that. I'm most active on Instagram. That's the one I kind of promote and like the most. So follow me on Instagram. It's at Galactus Jack. Say hello there. And Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, all of those places. The EPs are all digital releases. When the album comes out, that will be out on CD as well. But right now, if you're online, you can get Younger Days Pt.1 and my other records as well, like Universal that came out last year. Is all on Spotify and Apple Music and all those places.
Awesome. Thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us today.
My pleasure, Ian. My pleasure.
Let's hope the sun comes out, hey?
I think it's good. I've got a good feeling.
Good. Right, that was Galactus Jack. Go and pick up his new EP, Younger Days, right now. Part 1. Part 2 is coming out July 14th, as he said. JesusWired exclusive right there. Take care, everyone.